So first of all, thank you for having me on. The unfortunate part today that's happening is the enormous amount of scams going on around crypto, right? We have seen this before in various industries based on the time. .com had its own level of schemes. Then trading, you know, and various manufacturers around the world. And really, the crypto scams are here, and they have really evolved over the past 5 years due to the fact that they've become mainstream conversations. There is opportunities to get wealthy. There is opportunities to, get rich quick. And whenever you have that, the get rich quick schemes really come out of there. One of the biggest problems with that industry today is the fact that the perpetrators are very, very difficult to track. And I know we're going to get into this a little later on, but they're extremely difficult to deal with because they also are physically in various parts around the world where legislation will just not let law enforcement to get to them, right? So yeah, Gary, from that point of view. I've spent almost the last 30 years of my life and career dealing with breaches, chasing bad guys, chasing ghosts in the system. Anything from theft of actual monies to theft of intellectual properties. I deal with quite a bit of ransomware type breaches these days all over the world. Yeah. Our company is Cypher. Today, we're one of the largest companies in the world that deals with ransomware and breaches. And I mean, we talked about this before, there's a term that's being used out of there, which is a pig butchering scam, right? And usually this is a very long term, fairly extremely sophisticated, and it's all about investments, right? And these are criminals. This is all organized crime. We've even seen some state-sponsored in this because this is a revenue generation model for them. Again, they build fake, let it be romantic, let it be friendly relationships with online people. They find them through various means, right? And they really get to a point, and this is a long term. So this is not a smash and grab. This is really about establishing relationship. It's about stringing them along where people get comfortable and they don't realize that this is a scam. Then, once the trust is established, they get brought in, the threat actors, the scammers, they bring them in, they basically lure them in investing in various fraudulent crypto platforms, crypto driven business ideas before actually stealing all the funds. And that's the butchering side of the pig butchering scam. Funny enough, it actually originated initially from a Chinese phrase, which refers to the agricultural way of fattening a pig before actually slaughtering it, right? So it's a long term, it's a plan versus a smash and grab. And the scammers have realized that in order to have somebody convert their actual fiat currency into cryptocurrency, they have to actually build that trust and that bridge before people go ahead and convert. Because unlike credit cards or a breach into a bank account where there's direct access to the funds, they need to build that bridge. And it's funny. I even get approached on various platforms like a Telegram or a WhatsApp or text message. These are all being sent by bots, right? They're all automated. There's nobody actually behind the keyboard because they're looking for a response. And we get to see quite a bit of scams on a daily and monthly basis. And people, very intelligent people that fall for this, they always ask, I can't believe that I actually missed it. And I can't believe that this is actually working. What we have to remember is that the scammers are going to send 1 million messages to 1 million people on a list. And even if there's 1% response, they're able to monetize that, right? Believe it or not, on average, they have about a 6.7 to 7.8 success rate on their messages, because they'll get somebody who is genuinely interested, either again maybe has a bit of a financial struggle, maybe have made money before in the stock market, and they're actually open to monetizing cryptocurrency. So they'll bring you into conversations, and never, the first conversations, which could be the first week or two or a month, they will actually not even ask them to invest anything because they're working on building the trust. But after that, they're going to ask, hey, we got this great opportunity, and there's fake websites, there's fake forms. It's all an illusion, it's all a system, where they are going to go and take their hard earned cash post tax and actually go online and convert it into cryptocurrency. And now that they have, the playing chips, just like in a casino, for example, now they have the currency to actually be part of that system. They're now going to get different ideas, in a way, certain tactics of pressure to invest that money in X, right? Y, Z. And that's how it starts. It's very sad, Gary. I unfortunately have been dealing with this for almost 30 years in my life, dealing with fraud and scams and victims. It's very, very sad. One of the biggest problems today with scams in general, but also now with crypto, is the extremely low chance of recovery, right? Law enforcement is a little bit overwhelmed these days with various frauds and investigations. It's very difficult due to jurisdiction and legislation to deal with the perpetrators of the scam when they're outside of the United States, and so on. So it's very difficult. Again, the biggest part about this is the low chances of recovery. Yeah, so over the past 25 years, certain stigmas have changed, right? We used to have stigmas of cyber perpetrators, kids sitting in mommy's and daddy's basement with a hood. We feel the perpetrators look like gangsters out of Hollywood, and so on. Nothing can be further from the truth. I mean, the people that pull the strings are, those type of people, but those are not the people behind the keyboard, right, and so on. Really, this is perpetrated from various parts around the world, from Russia, Ukraine, Baltics, India, China, Korea. These are well established setups in rooms with computers and driven by intelligence. And basically, today, unfortunately, you don't have to have a face. You got to have a keyboard, right? You got to have connection to the internet. It's protected by various firewalls and so on. I've seen some of those live during takedowns and operations. That's how they operate today, and it's just a regular 9 to 5. I have to tell you, we were part of a sting in let it be Toronto and New York, basically in the financial center. Looks like a real office with real people, and then you have basically a boiler room set up of computers, 50 to 100, and people sitting typing away. And they were just the gateway to the actual operation, which was overseas, because unfortunately, the one thing the criminals have gotten very good at is understanding the law, and they're understanding the minimal reach with today's global legislation around this type of scams. Gary, that's a great question. Again, the unfortunate part is that you do have some barriers for recovery, right? And even if you have the hash codes and you have all the numbers and information that pointing to the particular wallet that you paid for, what these criminals do on average, they change between 6 to 11 wallets before they actually clean the money as a money laundering operation, right? And when they clean it in different parts of the world, they're basically untouchable. They used to do this through actual official tier one bank accounts. And, if you reacted within the first 24 to 48 hours, believe it or not, you actually had a 50% success rate that somewhere, somehow, the holding bank, right, or the transfer bank or the intermediate bank needed some more time to actually move the funds. With crypto, it's immediate. So they take it from one wallet to another. And again, on average, they go to about 6 to 11 wallets and it's gone. It's gone. I've seen some phenomenal cooperation between law enforcement with different countries out there and jurisdictions around wire fraud. It's almost non-existent when it comes to crypto because it moves so fast. Gary, I think it's very important to understand that I would personally not trust any type of online investment advice, suggestions, or opportunities. I know that's a very harsh comment, and I might be a little biased after doing this close to 30 years, but nothing good comes out of it, right? I would join particular forums. I would connect with people. I would want to see faces. I want to potentially interact. I want to meet them. I want to understand. I would look at references, but I would be extremely careful with ideas, projects, investments that require crypto as a payment method. And I would also look at contracting. Contracting is very important. And, one of the things that I often hear from various victims is, this was an investment, for example, a couple $100,000. I did not want to spend about 10% of that with legal advice.